يخشى الدوائر، يعلم مثاقيل الجبال ومكائيل البحار، وعدد قطر الأمطار، وعدد ورق الأشجار، وعدد ما أظلم عليه الليل وما أشرق عليه النهار، ولا تواري منه سماء سماء ولا أرض أرضا، الحلال ما أحللت والحرام ما حرمت، والدين ما شرعت والأمر ما قضيت، الخلق خلقك والعبد عبدك وأنت الله الرؤوف الرحيم. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وقال تعالى في كتابه المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تدخلوا بيوتا غير بيوتكم حتى تستأنسوا وتسلموا على أهلها، إلى آخر الآية. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: الاستئذان ثلاث، فإن أذن لك وإلا فارجع، أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Hope everyone is doing well today. Inshallah, we're just waiting for a few more brothers to join in and sisters. Then we'll get started, inshallah. Just waiting for a few more, then we'll get started, inshallah, with Surah Nur, what Surah Nur talks about. And then we'll move on to Surah Furqan, inshallah. Just wait a minute or two and then we'll get started. Inshallah, we'll get started. So getting into Surah Nur, there's an understanding, the beginning of the surah talks about the ruling on zina and what the punishment should be for those who commit this act. But moving forward to ayah number 11, from here all the way until ayah number 26, it talks about his story. It's known as Hadith of Ifk, story of Ifk, right? Story of lying. إن الذين جاءوا بالإفك عصبة منكم لا تحسبوه شرا لكم بل هو خير لكم لكل امرئ منهم ما اكتسب من الإثم والذي تولى كبره منهم له عذاب عظيم. Okay. So what story does it talk about? It talks about the time when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was returning from Ghazwa Bani al-Mustaliq. He was returning from that war, heading back towards Medina. Now, Aisha radiallahu anha she was accompanying Rasulullah. She accompanied Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at that time. Now, it makes sense that she was returning at that time as well, right? This is what happened. Now, understanding that Aisha radiallahu anha, she had a hodaj, right? A hodaj is like a small I forget the word. It's like a carriage, almost like a carriage, like a small. I forget the word in English. It's not coming in my mind. It's not clicking. But it's like a small, you can say a carriage or a small box or a small area where, you know, where Aisha radiallahu anha would sit. And then thereafter people would come and then mount her onto a camel. Right? They would carry that hildage and place it on the back of a camel. Now, Aisha radiallahu anha, what happened was that she had to relieve herself. So she went out in the jungle, right? And understanding that, subhanAllah, as we go on for our long-term journeys, there are a lot of en routes, right, where we stop, pit stops, right? So this was understanding this was some sort of a pit stop where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the caravan and the army, they stopped, right? Aisha radiallahu anha, it was, everyone stopped for a small break. Aisha radiallahu anha, she wanted to relieve herself. She wanted to relieve herself into some area. Now what happened was she had a necklace that perhaps got, that she lost. Okay? She had a necklace that she had lost. She started looking for that necklace, and she said, it was a necklace that was given to her. So she started looking for that necklace, where that necklace was. Now, what happened was that obviously this is the time when ahkam of parda, ahkam of the veil, or the ayahs regarding the veil and about covering them, about niqab, had already been revealed, right? So now what happened was, now the caravan was set to leave. Aisha radiallahu anha, at that time she was very skinny. She was skinny, so meaning that she didn't weigh much. When the men came to lift up the hojad, when they picked up the hojad, they didn't feel much difference. They didn't feel any different. To their assumption, to their thinking, that they thought Aisha radiallahu anha was in the hodaj, so in that carriage. So they put her on that camel. They put the hodaj on the camel, and they went out. Now what happened was Aisha radiallahu anha, she comes back and the caravan has already gone. Now she said, there's no point of me going after the caravan, right? And I don't need to look here. I don't need to go in a panic mode. I don't need to look here and there. What's best for me is to just sit down and wait here, right? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, obviously when he counts people, when he does a head count, he'll find that I'm missing and he'll come back for me. So she said, I'll just wait here. Now Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had made a Sahabi, Safwan bin Mu'attal radiallahu anhu. He made him in charge of, he was asked to stay behind the caravan, and perhaps few kilometers back, or Allahu a'lam. So he was asked to stay back behind the caravan and see whenever, when the caravan goes by, if they have dropped anything. So you pick up their belongings, you bring it back to Medina. Now the caravan, just understand this, now the caravan is gone. Aisha radiallahu anha, she was supposed to leave with the caravan. The caravan is gone. Aisha radiallahu anha, she's sitting in her place, and Safwan bin Mu'attal radiallahu anhu, he's coming. So he finds someone has covered, herself. There is someone there. There's a person there. Safwan bin Mu'attal radiallahu anhu says, I said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. That was a sign for her to get up, right? So that was a signal. So he says, I said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And he says, I recognize Aisha radiallahu anha. What? And how did you recognize her? Because he said, I had seen Aisha radiallahu anha before the ayahs of, before the hukum of hijab came. Before the hukum of the hijab came. I had seen her before, so I recognized Aisha. This is Aisha radiallahu anha, al-Mu'mineen. So I said to her, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Thereafter, she got up and she covered herself, right? Because now the ayahs of hijab, this incident takes place after the ayahs of hijab, the hukum of hijab. So he says, Safwan bin Mu'attal radiallahu anhu says, I lowered my camel and I asked Aisha radiallahu anha to mount this camel and I will take her back to Medina. Right. Now, Allahu Akbar, when the two came back to Medina, Abdullah bin Ubay, obviously who's Ra'sul Munafiqeen, right? He was the leader of the Munafiqeen at that time. He said, Na'udhu billah, there's something wrong. He said, Aisha radiallahu anha, she's coming with Safwan bin Mu'attal. They're alone, something must have happened. Na'udhu billah. And what's this? So he, he falsely accused Aisha radiallahu anha of committing an act of this act. So, and this is something that became the talk of the town. People started, and so and he managed to get three people amongst, who were amongst pure people, like saying, just Sahaba radiallahu anhum ajma'in, to discuss this matter or look into this matter, right? Amongst them were Hassan bin Thabit radiallahu anhu, Mistah radiallahu anhu, who was also the relative of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and Hamna radiallahu anha. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about him as well, وَالَّذِي تَوَلَّى كِبْرَهُ, right? The one who spread this corruption, who was like the leader, who was, the mastermind behind this corruption. لَهُ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. For him is a severe punishment, a harsh punishment, right? لَوْلَا, and this is, subhanAllah, this is a lesson for us as well, right? لَوْلَا إِذْ سَمِعْتُمُوهُ ظَنَّ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتُ بِأَنفُسِهِمْ خَيْرًا وَقَالُوا هَذَا إِفْكٌ مُبِينٌ. Right, now, alhamdulillah, the majority of them said, you know what, this is false news. This is a lie. This can't take place. Right? لولا جاءوا عليه بأربعة شهداء فإذ لم يأتوا بالشهداء فأولئك عند الله هم الكاذبون. This is the system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, understanding that if you falsely accuse someone, first and foremost, you shouldn't do this. Right? Allahu Akbar. This was at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Today people talk about how Islam is very harsh. Islam, is very harsh. This is Surah an-Nur. We're talking about Surah an-Nur, discussing ayah number 13 now, and talking about Hadith of If. So Allahu Akbar. A Sahabi comes to Rasulullah. A person comes to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he says, "Ya Rasulullah, I've committed sin." Rasulullah turns away and he says, "You haven't done anything." Comes again, "Ya Rasulullah, no, I've really committed sin." No, you haven't done anything. Ya Rasulullah, I've committed. He's admitting it himself, subhanAllah. And Allahu Akbar, even so Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at this point, he's telling him and he's consoling him and telling him that, you haven't done anything. You just go away. Meaning that, leave this, don't even discuss this matter. We understand that, a punishment takes place, but, this is between, just do tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you. Don't tell anyone, right? And upon another occasion, there was just one time, this person had committed sin and capital punishment was, was taking place. This person, he decided to run. Right? He ran away from that area. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Don't chase him. Leave him. Just leave his matter to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." The next day, this person comes back to Medina and he starts living in Medina. SubhanAllah. Right? And understanding this, لولا جاءوا عليه بأربعة شهداء فإذا لم يأتوا بالشهداء فأولئك عند الله هم الكاذبون. But these people who accuse someone of subhanAllah, people don't understand. In order for capital punishment to take place, there are so many intricate details. There's I don't want to get into the details right now. But there are so many things that follow this, right? There are a lot of prerequisites, a lot of things that need to take place. There are a lot of conditions that need to take place, that need to happen, right, in order for this to take place. So, now, one is not enough, right? بِأَرْبَعَةِ شُهَدَاء. Bring 4 witnesses. فَإِذْ لَمْ يَأْتُوا بِالشُّهَدَاءِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ عِندَ اللَّهِ هُمُ الْكَاذِبُونَ. Now, subhanAllah, you are accusing someone, right? Let's say you accuse someone. First and foremost, you leave their matter to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's best, and understanding this hadith, مَنْ سَطَرَ مُسْلِمًا سَطَرَهُ اللَّهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. Allahu Akbar. That everyone wants, we wish that, I've done something, I don't want my sins to be exposed, I don't want any exposure, and we feel shy, subhanAllah, this is something that, it still shows that, alhamdulillah, we have few signs of iman, alhamdulillah. On the other hand, if a person doesn't care whether people know this or not, Allahu Akbar, then there's a problem. For example, a person commits a mistake, but you commit a crime. Now you don't care. See, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says as well, and this is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us, and this is what he has said to us. O person, when you don't have haya, right, فَاصْنَعْ بِمَا شِئْتَ, then do whatever you want. Right, when a person doesn't have haya is basically a person, just understanding this, just getting the gist of this. The crux of haya is that a person, it tries to protect himself, right? He's modest, he wants to safeguard himself. Now, on the other hand, you have someone who doesn't care about his haya, right? He doesn't care if certain parts of his body are exposed, right? Now he has no haya. Now do whatever you want. Allahu Akbar. Right? So, man satara Musliman, satarahu Allahu yawm al-qiyamah. You hide the mistakes of people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hide your mistakes. Today, subhanAllah, this is something, my dear respected brothers and sisters. If we, Allahu Akbar, every ayah of the Quran, it's a lesson for us. Just understand this. Today, you look at someone, you falsely criticize him, and you criticize him, you lament him, mock him, demoralize him in front of others, right? Now and you feel comfortable by doing this, right? For example, someone has done something. You're exposing him in front of how many people? 10 people, right? 10, 20, 30 people, okay? That's in this world. Did you think about, a time has to come where a person thinks about his own situation, right? You are embarrassing that person in front of 30 people. Just imagine on Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides to embarrass you in front of all his creation? Can you stop Allah? You can't stop Allah, right? You can't stop Allah. Just imagine, today everyone wants to hide things from their parents, want to hide things from their family members, this and that and all that stuff. Imagine if a person has an ill feeling towards another person, right? Or like some bad thoughts about a person. What if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exposes those thoughts on Yawm al-Qiyamah in front of your own parents, in front of your own relatives, and in front of everyone? Subhanallah, right? So this is something that we need to understand as well. That may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is a quality that we need to ask. That, Ya Allah, give me this quality that I hide the flaws and the faults of others, right? Just talk, don't, and subhanallah, Allahu Akbar. Even if someone has flaws and faults, always think of yourself. Remember, I said when you point your finger at someone, always think that there are three fingers pointing back at you. 3 fingers pointing back at you, right? فإذا لم يأتوا بالشهداء فأولئك عند الله هم الكاذبون ولولا فضل الله عليكم ورحمته في الدنيا والآخرة لمسكم فيما أفضتم فيه عذاب عظيم. Now, Allah, okay, this another thing about falsely, accusing someone, right? إذ تلقونه بألسنتكم وتقولون بأفواهكم ما ليس لكم به علم وتحسبونه هينا وهو عند الله عظيم. Right? To falsely, and today people say, I can just, we're not just, just relating to zina and other, morely on zina right now, but other accusations as well, right? Now, when you accuse someone, right? First and foremost, today no one has you don't have concrete evidence, right? Have first and foremost, don't even talk about it. This is something, the best thing to do is to avoid it, right? To avoid this situation. Then when you move forward, there has to be some sort of concrete evidence, right? تقولون بأفواهكم ما ليس لكم به علم وتحسبون هينا. And once you say this, once you falsely accuse someone without any concrete evidence, you think it's very little, right? It's very light. وَهُوَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ عَظِيمٌ. It might be light to you, but in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is something great. This is something very big. وَلَوْلَا إِذْ سَمِعْتُمُوهُ قُلْتُمْ مَا يَكُونُ لَنَا أَن نَتَكَلَّمَ بِهَذَا سُبْحَانَكَ هَذَا بُهْتَانٌ عَظِيمٌ. Right? And you should have said, after hearing this incident, right? After hearing this incident that Abdullah bin Ubay was saying this had happened, that had happened with Aisha radiallahu anha, na'udhu billah, right? You've said, Subhanaka hadha buhtanun azim. This cannot happen. This is a big accusation, right? يَعِذُكُمُ اللَّهُ أَن تَعُودُوا لِمِثْلِهِ أَبَدًا إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forgiven you, but this is something that, you should completely abstain from. Do tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and make sure that you don't return to this, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is advising you, don't turn back to this. وَيُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ لَكُمُ الْآيَاتِ وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ حَكِيمٌ. Right? إن الذين يحبون أن تشيع الفاحشة في الذين آمنوا لهم عذاب أليم في الدنيا والآخرة والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون. الله أكبر. Right? So then again, Allahu Akbar, now understanding what happened, this became the talk of the town, that Abdullah bin Ubay, he's saying this, right? And there were other who, discussed or talked about this as well, the likes of Hassan radiallahu anhu. And I don't want to get too details into the, I don't want to talk about too many details regarding this right now. But nevertheless, there are Sahaba radiallahu anhum ajma'in, right? وَكُلٌّ وَعَدَ اللَّهُ الْحُسْنَى. Hassan radiallahu anhu, Misr radiallahu anhu, and Hamna radiallahu anha. Okay? So they started discussing. about this matter as well. So in the next few ayahs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He clarifies everything, right? About this whole hadith that nothing had happened, right? Understanding that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punishes people in the hereafter, right? For example, you have someone who decides to live his life however he wants to live this life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala waits, 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 right? And that's when people ask, they question and they say, how come we're not, being punished in this world? You have some people who ask that. So understanding that, results are given after you've finished the exam, right? The teacher doesn't start marking your exam or your test during, whilst you're taking that test, right? So understanding that this is a process. After this process, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will a person will face the consequences. He'll be compensated. Then again, saying there are those who get punished in the hereafter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't punish them in this world. However, there are few people, right? There are few people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He punishes them in this world and in the hereafter, right? Inna alladhina, looking at ayah number 19. إن الذين يحبون أن تشيع الفاحشة في الذين آمنوا لهم عذاب أليم في الدنيا والآخرة والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون. Those people who love to spread corruption, they wish the branches of fahisha, immoral things and immodest things, just branch out, right, amongst the believers. لهم عذاب أليم, for them is a severe punishment في الدنيا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say is that I will punish, their akhirah is already destroyed now, but I will punish them in this world as well. فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Understanding this, advocating and advertising, fuhsh, advertising immoral things and immodest things, right? So subhanallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. I mean, right? Now, looking at ayah number 22. ولا يأتل أولو الفضل منكم والسعة أن يؤتوا أولي القربى والمساكين والمهاجرين في سبيل الله وليعفوا وليصفحوا. وليعفوا وليصفحوا ألا تحبون أن يغفر الله لكم والله غفور رحيم. Now here's the thing, understanding. Now at that point, the Musta'ud radiallahu anh, he was a relative of Abu Bakr radiallahu anh. Now what happened was that he, like I said, he was, he started discussing and he started talking about this. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, he took an oath. He said, now I will, and Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, he used to provide some aid for him, right? He was just financially support Musta'ud radiallahu anh. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu said, okay, you're the one, you forgot all my khair that this khair that I've done to you, and you were discussing this matter, and you're talking about my daughter. So now I won't support you. I won't give you any financial aid. Right away, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even look at the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So He revealed this ayah. وَلَا يَأْتَلِ أُولُو الْفَضْلِ مِنْكُمْ. SubhanAllah. Fadl Allah. This is a merit that's given to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, right? Ulul Fadl here refers to us Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, those who are Ulul Fadl amongst you, those whom I have given, right? Fadl, my bounty, whom I've showered, I've showered these people with my blessings and bounties. Fadl in terms of deen and dunya. Okay? Fadl, understanding Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, Allahu Akbar, he has his Fadl, and we understand that in the Akhirah, and he's done so much for Islam. And his status, Allahu Akbar, in Jannah is very, very high, and Fadl also refers to as his wealth. Understanding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given him a lot of wealth in this world as well. وَالسَّعَةِ أَن يُؤْتُوا أُولِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْمَسَاكِينِ وَالْمُهَاجِرِينَ. See, those people who you were giving them financial aid. Just because of this incident, whatever happened, now don't make this qasam, don't take this oath that you won't provide them with any aid. You won't give them any financial aid, right? So give this to them, right? Don't you wish أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ, and before this, وَلْيَعْفُوا وَلْيَصْفَحُوا. It's best, and this is something, my dear respected brothers and sisters, we have to understand as well. وَلْيَعْفُوا وَلْيَصْفَحُوا. The best thing to do, to solve, to get rid of depression today, Understanding why do we have depression today? Because we still have this animosity or this grudge against someone, right? Where 20 years go by, 30 years go by, 40 years go by, we still have that grudge against that one person. That one person did this to me. And because of that grudge, now you have that grudge and animosity towards that person. Because of this grudge and animosity, you're not healthy. You're unable to stay healthy. Your heart, you're what's it called? Is in agony. You're in pain, right? And that pain kills you. You know how they say pain kills, right? So that pain is slowly killing you. Because of that pain, you get hit with depression. Because of depression, it's simply some people who have depression. Depression can also lead to diabetes. Now, because of, just connecting the dots here, right? You're depressed, so that depression leads, you're angry, you have animosity, that animosity leads to stress and depression. The more stress and depression you have, the more, and then you have a higher chance of getting diabetes. You get hit with diabetes, and now, subhanAllah, everything, it's like the domino effect, everything falls down, right? وَلْيَعْفُوا وَلْيَصْفَحُوا, everything would have been fine. Take care of yourself, take care of others. What do? Right? Just forgive. Forgive and forget. وَلْيَعْفُوا وَلْيَصْفَحُوا, honest, just forgive and forget. وَلْيَعْفُوا, forgive them. وَلْيَصْفَحُوا, truce. Come to an agreement. Right? أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَن يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. Right? If you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you, it's best that you forgive others as well. Right? We want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins, but we're not ready to forgive others, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us this quality of forgiveness. I mean, إن الذين يرمون المحصنات الغافلات المؤمنات لعنوا في الدنيا والآخرة ولهم عذاب عظيم. And these people as well, you falsely accuse pious and pure women, right? لعنوا في الدنيا والآخرة. La'ana for them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, is in this world and in the hereafter, meaning they are free of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. For them is a great punishment, right? Now from this ayah, from ayah number 28, Allahu Akbar, understanding that this is a complete deen and it teaches us everything. It teaches us adab of istizan, of seeking permission, right? And what is istizan? What is the meaning of istizan? Is talabul idhn, okay? To seek permission في الدخول على في الدخول على منزل, right? It is to seek permission, someone's permission, to seek, istizan is to seek someone's permission to enter into their house, right? Or to enter into a place, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, all those people who have believed, لا تدخلوا بيوتا غير بيوتكم, okay, حتى تستأنسوا وتسلموا على أهلها. Allahu Akbar. These are the adab, right? And these are the adab that we have to teach our children as well. Walaikum assalam to those who have just joined. Okay. Now, when it comes to your house, right? I don't know if we'll get to your house after, but when you go into someone else's house, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا تدخلوا بيوتا غير بيوتكم حتى تستأنسوا وتسلموا على أهلها. Okay? A lot of people, now this house, that's not your house. Today we think, our friend's house is our house, our cousin's house is our house, or my uncle's house is my house, no, that's not your house. Your house is in the house, that your family lives in, right? Unless if it's a joint family system, that's different, right? We're just talking about adab right now. You go to their house, knock on the door, right? There are adab of how to knock on the door as well, right? Make sure you don't knock too loud and not too soft, right? Too loud that you're disturbing the person, on the inside. SubhanAllah, this is Allah, but don't cause any harm to another Muslim, right? You're just knocking, banging on the door. Sometimes this is what happens. People go and Allahu Akbar, you tell your kid to knock on the door because you have some things on your, in your hands. Your child, he starts to kick the door. This is completely against adab, right? Completely against etiquette. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this deen it teaches us everything. So knock onto the door. Make sure you don't knock too hard. You don't disturb the person on the inside, and at the same time, make sure that you don't knock too softly. too softly, no one can understand, no one can hear the knock, and too hard, the people who are inside, rather than being happy that a visitor is here, they're upset that someone has come here, right? And even when you tell, this is something adab or something, subhanAllah, we have to teach our children. Just understand this. If a teacher doesn't know anything, how is the teacher able to deliver the message to his students, right? So when parents don't have adab themselves, how will they teach these etiquettes to their children, right? So parents, as parents, we need to learn adab first, right? Just simple adab, simple etiquette. Right now we're just getting talking about the etiquettes of knocking, right? Of seeking someone's permission. 3 times. This is what you do 3 times, right? As Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, al-istidhanu thalath. He didn't say al-istidhanu, khamsa, khamis, or sadisa, right? 6 times, sab'a, thamaniya. He didn't say that 6, 7, 8 times. Subhanallah, you have people that they just knock, keep knocking, and they don't leave. This is completely against this, right? Completely going against the etiquettes of deen. فَإِنْ أُذِنَ لَكَ, okay, if you haven't given permission, alhamdulillah, you go inside. وَإِلَّا فَرْجِعْ. If no one answers, وَإِلَّا فَرْجِعْ, go back. 3 times is more than enough. And the same goes for calling as well, subhanallah, right? When let's say you want to talk to someone, right? You call that person. Walaikum to those who have just joined. You call that person once, right? He doesn't pick up. You call him again, doesn't pick up. You call him the 3rd time, that's it. Excuse me, it's enough. Right? 3 is enough. Now we, subhanAllah, go completely against adab and we say, it's okay for me to call him 4 times, 5 times. He's my friend, he's my this, he's my this. SubhanAllah. He may have some ill feeling, why give him an opportunity to build this ill feeling towards you, to have this ill feeling towards you? Every time he looks at your number, he'll say, this person is that, he's that same person who bugs me time after time. Right? So knock on the door, right? At the same, now, subhanAllah, when they let you come in, right? First and foremost, now, see, just talk about these adab. When you knock on the door, and now someone comes at the door, and he says, who is this? Don't say, it's me, right? So, Jabir radiallahu anhu, he narrates, أَتَيْتُ النَّبِيَّ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. This one time I came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I knocked on his door, I knocked on his door. فَقَالْ مَنْ ذَا? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, who is this? فَقُلْتُ أَنَا. Then, it's myself, right? It's I, myself. It is I. فَقَالْ أَنَا. I, or like myself. You know how you knock on the door and you're like, mehu, right? So in this case, it'd be like mehu. Like, is it, like, who is this, right? So he understood that this is something that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam disliked, right? So this is what we have to do as well. When you knock on the door, and your mother says, who's at the door, or let's say you go somewhere else, and he says, and now that person knows you, he's your friend. It's still, subhanAllah, Jabir radiallahu anhu, you think Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wouldn't recognize the voice of Jabir radiallahu anhu, his own companion? Obviously he would, right? As he was, Sahaba radiallahu anhu, right? They were close to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But this is for us, right? These adab for us to understand, right? This incident happened for us to understand as well, to take heed, right? To take a lesson from that. Don't just say, it's myself, it's me, come on, open up, it's me. No, who's me? Who's I? Who's myself? Right? Say your name, say Abdullah, it's Ahmad, it's this, it's that, say your name. Now the host, or whoever's inside the house, he opens the door. This is Surah Nur. We're still on Surah Nur. Ayat number 27. He opens the door, right? You come inside, don't just say, hello, how are you, this and that, without saying anything. No. وَتُسَلِّمُ. Say salam. Okay? Gilda bin Hammal radiallahu anhu, he narrates, أَتَيْتُ النَّبِيَّ صلى الله عليه وسلم. That I came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فَدَخَلْتُ عَلَيْهِ وَلَمْ أُسَلِّمْ. That I went and I entered and I didn't say salam. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, irji'. Said, okay, go back. فَقُلْ السَّلَامُ عَلَيْكُمْ أَأَدْخُلُ. Right? Say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, can I enter? Right? So when these are adab that we need to learn. So when the person, he opens the door, you wait there and say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, can I enter? Adkhulu. Right? These are adab. And then if he gives you permission, yes, you can enter, because you are, you don't want to breach someone's property, right? This is not your property. You don't own this. It's someone else's property, right? حتى تستأنسوا. So first and foremost, you seek permission, right? Knocking on the door. وتسلموا, and say salam على أهلها. ذلكم خير لكم لعلكم تذكرون. Okay. فإن لم تجدوا فيها أحدا فلا تدخلوها حتى يؤذن لكم. Okay. وإن قيل, okay, we'll just take it. We'll talk about this first. فإن لم تجدوا فيها. Now, if you don't find anyone inside, right? For example, and you know, subhanallah, where this happens to us, right? For example, let's say you go to someone's house, right? Now you knock on the door once, twice, third time, right? And now you, first and foremost, shouldn't even look inside their house, right? But this is a tendency, this is a habit that we've built, that if the window's open, we'll look inside, and if someone's inside, subhanallah, Allahu Akbar, this is something that we need to take care of, right? These are all akhlaq and adab that we need to learn. You don't look inside, right? But that person, he has his own, that's his privacy, he has his own things, right? You don't look inside. So now a person looks inside, for instance, and he says, there's no one inside, no one answered. Now he grabs the doorknob and he twists it, and the door's open. So now this is, subhanAllah, this is, Allahu Akbar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. This is a habit that we've built as well. We will open the door and we'll go inside and we'll say, is anyone home? Is anyone home? So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Quran teaches us, فَإِن لَمْ تَجِدُوا فِيهَا أَحَدًا. If no one's inside, فَلَا تَدْخُلُوهَا. You can't, this is not your house. Today we don't treat it like your house. فَلَا تَدْخُلُوهَا حَتَّى يُؤْذَنَ لَكُمْ. Once you have been given permission, then you go inside. Without any permission, you can't go inside. وَإِن قِيلَ لَكُمْ ارْجِعُوا فَارْجِعُوا هُوَ أَزْكَى لَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ عَلِيمٌ. And then, if they tell you, sorry, you are not wanted, go back. Right? What's the need for you to just stay there, just keep knocking on the door? No, please let me in, No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِن قِيلَ لَكُمْ ارْجِعُوا فَارْجِعُوا. If they tell you to go back, okay, that's it, go back. هُوَ أَزْكَى لَكُمْ. Right? It's better for you. وَاللَّهُ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ عَلِيمٌ. لَيْسَ عَلَيْكُمْ جُنَاحٌ أن تدخلوا بيوتا غير مسكونة فيها متاع لكم والله يعلم ما تبدون وما تكتمون. Now in this, understanding that, for example, let's say it's an abandoned house, or let's say it's some storage room, or anywhere else, right? ليس عليكم جناح أن تدخلوا بيوتا غير مسكونة. You find out that there's no one living there, right? And an example with this would be like an open area, like anything that we can think of, right? Like a storage room, or an open area, right? Where you've left some of your belongings, right? فيها متاع لكم. You've left some of your belongings, and this is a place. It's not a residential area. Okay, this is what we have to understand. As long as it's not a residential area, okay? If it's a residential area, obviously you need permission, even if you have something inside, right? If it's not a residential area, ليس عليكم جناح أن تدخلوا بيوتا. You could enter that house غير مسكونة if it's not a residential area. فيها متاع لكم if you have some belongings there, right? والله يعلم ما تبدون وما تكتمون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what you make apparent and what you hide. Now the ayahs of controlling our gaze, right? قل للمؤمنين يغضوا من أبصارهم ويحفظوا فروجهم ذلك أزكى لهم إن الله خبير بما يصنعون. Right? Ya Rasulullah, tell the Muslim believers, male believers, يغضوا من أبصارهم. Okay? ويحفظوا فروجهم. Lower their gaze. Protect your eyes. Right? Now we'll get into the, what's halal for us, what's not haram for us, inshallah, in the next ayah. وقل للمؤمنات يغضضن من أبصارهن ويحفظن فروجهن ولا يبدين زينتهن إلا ما ظهر منها وليضربن بخمرهن على جيوبهن ولا يبدين زينتهن إلا لبعولتهن. Now, إلى آخر until لعلكم تفلحون. Okay? The men folk are instructed to cover themselves. Okay? You cover yourselves, protect your gaze, and the women folk as well. Okay? Now, even when it comes to, and this is something, my dear respected brothers and sisters, we have to understand, right? Understanding that women folk, they like to spend money on their clothing, and they like to spend money on their makeup and all that stuff. That makeup, that understanding that makeup is not haram. No one is saying makeup is haram. It is jaiz for you, but the display of that makeup should only be for those who, for your maharim, for your husband, right? And that is it. Now the next few ayahs, understanding who are your maharim, right? Mahram is someone who you can't marry. So meaning that you don't have to cover yourself in front of them, right? And your غير mahram are those that you can marry, and you have to protect and guard yourself from them, okay? So ولا يبدين زينتهن إلا لبعولتهن. First and foremost, your husbands. أو آبائهن, okay? Your fathers. Okay? Now I'm not going to go in order, and I will one by one, inshallah, we'll explain everything, okay? Your husbands, there's no parda from them, okay? Your fathers, okay? Your father, no parda from him. Obviously, for the mother, if you're the male, if you're the female, there's no parda from the mother, right? There's no parda from any female, right? But obviously, this does not mean that a person just does what. There's always, a barrier of haya that a person should have, right? Whether if it's male amongst males or female amongst females, right? أو آباء بعولتهن. Now, in-laws as well. Okay? So for example, for the husband, it is okay for you to see, and it's okay for the mother-in-law. So it's okay for you to see your mother-in-law. Okay? The mother of your wife. At the same time, it's okay for your wife to see the husband's father. Okay? So the father-in-law. أو أبنائهن. Your sons, for females, okay, your sons are obviously your mahram. أو أبناء بعولتهن, right? If your husband has, if he has more children from other wives, right? Their sons are also okay for you. أو إخوانهن أو بني إخوانهن. Okay, now just quickly wrap this thing up, right? For a male, okay, understand this, okay? This from our understanding it from our society, from this perspective. For a husband, it's for a male. I'll get to a male. Okay, so your mother, okay, your mahram. Then you have your sisters, okay. Then you have your sallallahu alaihi wasallam, obviously your grandma, okay. Both maternal and paternal, and you have your maternal aunts and paternal aunts. Right, so your khalas and your pupus, they're also your mahram, okay? For the female, you have obviously your husband, your brother, your in-laws. For the male, in-laws as well, okay? Both in-laws. The mother, okay? Your mother-in-law is okay. And for the female, father-in-law, okay? Then for the female, it is also okay, what's it called? So your brothers, your sons, husband, grandparents, okay, both maternal and paternal. At the same time now, for the female, your maternal uncles, so your mamu, okay, so your maternal uncles and your paternal uncles. So maternal meaning your uncles from the mom's side, your mom's brothers, and paternal uncles meaning your dad's brothers for the female, okay? Now when it comes to brothers, subhanAllah, so these are, subhanAllah, this is what we have to understand, okay? SubhanAllah, today we say that, when a person gets married, and sister, see, the Quran says sister, not sister-in-law, okay? Not your sister-in-law. Understand, very easy, today a lot of people get confused, and they say, how come, what are my maharim, tell me about my mahram and ghayr mahram. Okay, your mahram are those who you can't marry. The things that I've mentioned. Okay, ghayr mahram are those you can marry. Can you marry your cousin? Yes, you can marry your cousin. Okay, so she's your ghayr mahram, right? Can you marry your sister? You can't marry your sister. Your sister's your mahram, right? Now, Allahu Akbar. Today people say that, we treat our cousins, our female cousins, as our sisters as well. Right? And we treat our cousins as our brothers as well. The women folk, the females, they treat cousins like their brother. Oh, no, he's just my brother. No, he's not your brother. Your brother is that same brother who your mom has given birth to, right? That same child, that's a male whom your mom has given birth to. He's your brother, right? There's no brother from him. You don't have to cover yourself in front of him. Right? But when it comes to your cousins, right? Today, subhanAllah, this is Allahu Akbar. A lot of fitna could be wiped out if we just act upon this, right? Today we treat everyone, all the aunties, in a community, we say, subhanAllah, this is my khala, that's my boo. Everyone, the entire world becomes your khala, and the entire world, subhanAllah. For the female, he has she says, no, this is just uncle. This is, my dad's. Your dad's friend is not your uncle. He's your dad's friend, right? He's not your paternal. He's not your paternal uncle, right? Now the same goes for the male as well, right? You have this auntie that comes into your house. No, she is not your mom's. She's not your first. Hey, look, she's not your mother. She's not your sister. She's not your maternal aunt, nor is she your paternal aunt, right? So you have to cover yourself. So she has to cover herself in front of you, right? So subhanAllah, my dear respected brothers and sisters, if we can just follow upon these few things of Islam, Allahu Akbar, a lot of our problems will be solved today, subhanAllah, right? It's just our fault. We say, that's my brother, that's my sister, that's my this, that's my brother, that's my sister, and because of this, when we have this mentality, when we have this mentality within our minds, within ourselves, it leads to greater problems, right? Then the person says, that person, he looked at me at the wrong, subhanAllah, just look at this. Then someone says that, that person, he looked at me like in a certain way. Well, obviously he's going to look at you in a certain way. You gave him the opportunity. And subhanAllah, this one beautiful story was, and a lesson for the women folk as well. This one woman folk, this one female, this one girl, she started doing parda because what happened was, now I'm trying my best to remember the story, Allahu Akbar. What happened was that at this one time, she was at a wedding, right? She was at a wedding and she was enjoying the wedding and this and that. So I'm trying to remember the story, Allah, but it's very, it's very heart touching. It holds many lessons for us. So a person comes to her and he says that, no, sorry. So she looks at that person, she looks at another person who was looking at her. No, let's say you go somewhere and someone stares at you, and after some time they're no longer staring at you, right? So this girl, she goes up to that person in the wedding and she says, "How come you were staring at me? Right? How come you were staring at me?" Right? So she said, "How come you were staring at me? And now, you were staring at me for about 20, 30 minutes, and now I looked at you again. Now you're looking somewhere else. Now you were no longer staring at me. And I've noticed, this is something weird. So I just wanted to ask, what was going on in your mind?" She said, so the person says, I was looking at you, and I looked at you for about 20, 30 minutes. So when I was looking at you, I felt content, right? Because you looked very beautiful. I looked at you, and you looked very, you looked very pleasing to my eyes. I looked at you for 20 minutes, and then I said, I got bored of you, and then I started looking somewhere else. So subhanAllah, she said, Allah, she said, that was the changing point of my life. She said, it's not his fault for looking at me. She said, I made sure, she said, I dressed well that day. I made sure I was looking nice. She said, I made myself presentable to him, right? Had I not given him the opportunity to look at me, he wouldn't have looked at me. He would have looked at someone else, right? So today, the women folk, today we give this opportunity to males to look at us. And when they look at us, we say, astaghfirullah, this person is looking at me. This person, that person is looking at me, right? SubhanAllah. Your beauty should be reserved for your husband, right? Your husband, it's jaiz for the husband to look at you. Why display this beauty for everyone else to see? And then when someone else looks at you, and then you say, oh no, where's, and then you call your husband, that person is staring at me, or that person, he looked at me like this in a wrong way, this and that. Why give the opportunity, right? SubhanAllah, understand this, Allahu Akbar. This one time someone said to a Muslim that, how come you guys, how come you look at, your women folk, they go through a lot of torture. And this is what he was saying. He said, how come your women folk, they go through a lot of torture, you make sure they cover themselves and this and that. Why do you do that? So he gave a beautiful answer, subhanAllah. And if every woman folk, if the woman folk, subhanAllah, if every female if every girl can understand this, a lot of things will be solved. A lot of our problems will be solved. He said, when you go to a jewelry store, right? When you go to an expensive store, right, and you ask for some expensive diamond or some expensive gem, right? Is it out on display? He said no. He said, where does the store owner keep it? He said he keeps it inside his own storage and he takes it out, right? And for example, if it's a ruby or if it's a sapphire, he takes it out and then he presents it to you, right? He keeps it away from everyone. Why? Because it has a value to it. He said, Islam has taught us to value women. He said, we have value for our women today. That's why we keep them. We want to protect them from the eyes of everyone. Allahu. If the husband can understand this, and if the female can understand this, that myself, my body is only for my husband to look at, and if the husband understands that, I'm only to look at my wife, subhanAllah, a lot of, so many people will be saved from zina, and a lot of problems will be solved. This is something that we need to act upon. So the woman folk, they say, I need to do this, I need to have this fashion, I need to wear this. Fine, wear the most expensive cologne. No one is stopping you. Wear whatever you want to wear, sapphire, emerald, whatever you want to wear it, but only for your husband, right? And subhanAllah, even our gatherings, today we have all these gatherings and say, it's a gathering, but it's a gathering where we'll do our own fashion and we'll have this, but males are not invited. SubhanAllah. I've never, this is just speaking from personal experience. I've never seen any gathering where it's only females. SubhanAllah. I know when the women folks, they say that we'll have this gathering where only females, right? They'll say only females are allowed. Yeah, females are allowed. Your cousins, your male cousins are going to be there. But you say no, it's okay. Only females. We're saying no one from outside. Yeah, no one from outside our house. Yeah, but your cousin. He's your cousin. He can marry you. In other words, he's your ghair mahram, right? You're supposed to cover yourself from him as well, right? And then what happens is when you don't do parda from your cousins, then a person says, okay, then that person is okay, and it's even our parda, Allahu Akbar, we have to understand, and this is for all the women folk. Why are we doing it? Are we doing it to satisfy our own nafs, or do we do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Today, we have our own, it's like a grocery store. We have our own parda today. We say, I'll do parda from him, I won't do parda from him, I'll cover myself from him, not from him, not from him, not from him. It's not your own choice. Why do you, you're just treating deen as a toy. That, you say, okay, my brother-in-law, I won't do parda from him, because he comes in the house every now and then, so it's okay, I don't need to do parda from him, I don't need to cover myself from him, but, everyone who's outside, I'll do parda from him. At the very least, it's like the least, even if someone doesn't want to cover the face, at least wear the scarf in front of your brother-in-law or, your sister-in-law or your cousins. At least do that. This is my humble request, right? But we say, it's okay, he's just my cousin and we grew up together. Okay, yeah, fine, you grew up together. When you were little, that's different, right? But at this point, you're saying everything is okay, right? It's okay for me to look at him. We grew up together, subhanAllah, right? If you nikah is something that makes things halal, right? You have Allahu Akbar, the two of you grew up together, this and that. You find you want him to look at you and you want to look at him. Fine. There's a halal option. There's a halal way. Get married, right? This whole thing, and subhanAllah, nikah is the only thing. This other thing I want to talk about, engagement as well. SubhanAllah, my teacher used to say today, we say engagement, and when someone has engagement, everything is okay, right? Engagement is, people say that it's a halal way of saying boyfriend and girlfriend, right? That's exactly what it is. The only way you can talk to a ghair mahram is obviously if there's a necessity, right? If there's a need. In engagement, there's no need. It's just, seriously, I'm not here to offend anyone. Speak the truth, even if it may be a little bitter, right? So this is what we have, boyfriend and girlfriend today after engagement. The only way they can talk to one another is get their nikah done, right? Get their nikah done, have reception later on. That's different, right? That's okay. That's still fine. But people would say, we'll have our engagement for 2 years. Then we'll see if the boy and the husband, if they meet and match, if their qualities are, if they can complement one another, and then we'll move on to nikah. Allah. So there's, for the 2 years they're just being boyfriend and girlfriend, and they're talking to one another. And at times I hear stories like this as well. At times they spend time in some privacy. Subhanallah. And in isolation. So, the question to us is, what deen are we following? Right? This is not the deen of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that you do whatever you want to do. Right? This deen is very pure. So let us not make fun of this deen. I mean, ayah number 35, looking at ayah number 35, it's known as Ayat an-Nur. Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. And just quickly, not going too many details into this ayah because we have to get to sort of Furqan as well. Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the light of the skies and the heaven. Right? What is nur? Imam Ghazali says, ظاهر بنفسه والمظهر لغيره. Right? Nur, the definition of nur is that it's eminent, right? It's radiant, and not only is it radiant, not only is it bright, والمظهر لغيره, it also illuminates other things, right? So, مثل نوره. Now this nur, scholars have mentioned, in Abdullah bin Abbas, he's mentioned that this nur does not talk about the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rather it talks about the nur of guidance, right? The nur that is placed in the heart of a believer. مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح. Right? Mishkat is a niche or a crevice, right? Wherein there is a misbah, a lantern. Al-misbahu fi sujaja, right? And that misbah, that candle, is in a glass. Okay. So what is this? مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح. Mishkat is the example of your chest, right? And subhanAllah, this metaphor, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses this metaphor, and the metaphor, so this is a metaphor for the iman in the heart of a believer, right? مَثَلُ نُورِهِ كَمِشْكَاةٍ فِيهَا مِصْبَاحٌ. So, mishkat is a niche crevice, and that resembles, which is your chest, okay? فِيهَا مِصْبَاح, there is this light, right? And this light is light of iman, light of guidance. Al-misbahu fi zujaja. And where is this light? Where is it found? It's in a glass, right? What is that glass? That glass is your heart. Okay? That glass is your heart. Right now, honestly, I would advise you to look into Ma'arif al-Quran, Ruh al-Ma'ari, and other tafsir books to really delve into this ayah. Because if we talk about this ayah, this ayah can take up to nearly 45 minutes to an hour. Right? We have to finish this surah quickly and then quickly wrap things up, and then move on to Surah Furqan. Just a few things discuss about Surah Furqan as well. Right? So it gives the example of iman, right? Now, in this, to ayah number 58. Okay? يا أيها الذين آمنوا ليستأذنكم يستأذنكم الذين ملكت أيمانكم والذين لم يبلغوا الحلم منكم 3 مرات. 3 times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, right, that we need to seek permission. And even the small children, the small children who are not baligh, they should seek permission as well to come inside, right? What are the 3 timings? It is before Fajr Salah, around Dhuhr time, and after Isha. Right? So these are private timings. So the children, these are adab, my dear respected brothers and sisters. See, adab are something that we need to teach our children from the beginning, right? SubhanAllah, a lot of people, they complain today that my child is 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, or Allahu A'lam, and they say that he doesn't listen to me, or he's very rude, he doesn't listen to me, and Allahu Akbar, I don't know what to do with it, right? So, subhanAllah, just imagine this. When a tree is crooked, right? When a tree is crooked, you try to straighten that. When a branch of a tree, or when you look at a tree, when you look at a crooked tree, you try to straighten it. What happens? It won't happen. Or let's say you have a stick that's crooked, right? A branch, a twig that's crooked. You try to straighten it, right? What happens? It breaks, right? SubhanAllah, my dear respected brothers and sisters. Now I'll get to the parents, as I'm pretty sure some parents will be listening as well. Our job as parents, we need to, SubhanAllah, we think today that by providing and giving our children supplying them with iPads and iPods and MacBooks and etc., we are doing our job, right? Alhamdulillah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you wealth. They need your time more than they need your wealth. They need your adab. They need your teachings more than they need everything. SubhanAllah, parents are, here is, a lot of parents, we're wrong. Parents today, they say that if I take this child of mine and I place him in a madrasa and he'll stay there for 2 years, after 2 years, inshallah, everything will be fine and he'll come up perfectly fine. He'll become an angel. Or parents say that I'll take my child, I'll put him in a evening maktab class or anything like that, and everything will be fine. Understanding, my dear respected brothers and sisters, these makatib and these madaris they're not a factory, right? Humans are not robots. That you just take this. We treat madaris and evening classes like dishwashers, right? You have a dishwasher. You put your you put your plates inside, your dishes inside, and then after some time, you open it up and it's all clean. You don't have to do anything. Right? We treat all these madaris like a factory. You place your child inside for 2 hours. Sorry, for 2 years he's there and it comes back perfectly clean. No, this is not. He's a human being. He's insane. He's not a robot. Right? He's not a tool, or he's not something. We, subhanallah, neglect their teaching. Understanding. Insan, look, the first teacher, or the first teachers of a child are the parents. They're not they're not the kindergarten teacher or the high school or the secondary or elementary, secondary, and high school teacher, and the list goes on and on. The parents are the first teachers. Today we say we are fulfilling our responsibility by supplying them, by giving them iPad and iPod and etc. and all that stuff, and then we do our own thing, and then we send them to a madrasa and we say, alhamdulillah, the teacher, we throw everything on the teacher. Now, after 2 years, when the student comes out, mashallah, he's a graduate now. He's memorized the Quran or he's done something from that madrasa, and he comes out, and he's still the same, or he still has some of his old habits. We tend to blame the teacher. You did this, you did this. This one time, a parent came to me and he started saying that not about myself. He said, this place where you're teaching, a lot of students come here and then they leave and then nothing happens. So what's the matter? I said, subhanallah, understand this. When you have a business transaction, right? In order for your business transaction to be solid, in order for you to gain maximum profit, both business parties have to be strong. For example, let's say you're a businessman, you're selling your product to someone, right? You sell your product to someone. Now that person, if he doesn't know how to take care of that product, he won't know what to do. And at the same time, if you don't know the value of this, you'll maybe sell that product for a less price. The gist and the crux of this is both parties need to be strong. So I said, this child of yours, he's a product, right? Because obviously, if we teach him, he, inshallah, will reap the rewards, through forms of sadaqat jariyah. He'll be a sadaqat jariyah for us. I said, if, it takes two hands to clap. This is a business transaction. This is a dealing that we're doing, right? Because you're placing your child here, and, I'm here to teach your child, and so on and so forth. So I said to them, look, I will do my responsibility, inshallah. I said, but the child goes home. I remember this one time, they had some of the children had a few weeks off. Right, I believe it was in either winter break or some other break they had, right? So the student comes back to me, and I asked him, and he started reading, and it was, it didn't seem right. I said, your tajweed is off, this is off, that is off. What did you do? How long? You had 2 weeks. How long did you study for? He said, I studied for 5 minutes. I said, you studied for 5 minutes in 2 weeks? He said, yeah, I studied for 5 minutes. Okay. So, my dear respected brothers and sisters, understanding this, that this is a responsibility that falls on the parents. Like, do you expect the teacher to come inside and have his camera set up and have put your child under 24-hour surveillance or something, right? That 24/7 watch or something. That he makes sure that your child is doing this. He's going to the bathroom right now. He's doing this. He's doing this. This is the job and this is the responsibility of parents, right? So the upbringing of the parents, this starts at that point. So teaching them adab, etiquettes, different etiquettes, right? Kids are 14, 15 years old, they don't know how to take a proper shower. Kids are 20 years old, they don't know how to do this, right? That's only if, subhanAllah, if the kid is 15 years old or 20 years old and he doesn't know how to take a proper ghusl, that means, it means two things. Now, I'm not here to offend anyone, right? This means two things. A, the parents, they themselves don't know how to take a proper shower, or the parents, they don't really have any care for their child. Seriously. If they had any care for him, they would teach him proper knowledge, right? So, my dear respected brothers and sisters, understanding that this deen, the knowledge of this deen is far greater than the knowledge of, science and biology and, math and all that stuff, right? So teaching them these adab. يا أيها الذين آمنوا ليستأذنكم الذين ملكت أيمانكم والذين لم يبلغوا الحلم منكم ثلاث مرات. Three timings, right? These are the three timings, and and they should ask three times, right? ليس عليكم ولا عليهم جناح بعدهن. After these three times, it's okay. طوافون عليكم بعضكم على بعض. They're small children, okay, not a problem, right? But these are the three times that they should seek your permission. كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات والله عليم حكيم. وإذا بلغ الأطفال منكم الحلم فليستأذنوا كما استأذن الذين من قبلهم كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته والله عليم حكيم. Now, if they're valid, if they've reached that age of puberty, past puberty, now they need to ask permission. They need to seek permission. Okay? Now they need to seek permission. Now the rulings have changed. Okay. Moving on to now ayah number 61, and inshallah with this we will conclude Surah Nur. ليس على الأعمى حرج ولا على الأعرج حرج ولا على المريض حرج. Okay, إلى آخر الآية. كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تعقلون. Ayah number 61. Now what happened was understanding that it is not okay for you to take someone else's belongings, to touch someone else's belongings, to take their belongings, to even eat their food without their permission. Okay? Now, I'm just giving you the sha'n al-nuzul of this ayah. Right? 2. Okay? 1. ليس على الأعمى حرج ولا على الأعرج حرج. Okay? Talking about this and looking at ليس عليكم جناح أن تأكلوا جميعا أو أشتاتا. Okay. Now what happened was that, now see, understanding that this ayah talks about those people with disabilities. Okay? Those people with disabilities. At that time, understanding they would eat together, right? Some friends would get together. Now, obviously, a blind person, unable to see, or a crippled person, or a paralyzed person, these people, when they would come, they would fear that, the people, our friends who are around us, they're eating less because of us, or they're uncomfortable because of us, right? So at times they would be a little hesitant to eat together. So these people, A'ma and the what's it called, people with disabilities, they would fear that should we eat with them or not? Is it okay for us to eat? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ليس عليكم جناح أن تأكلوا جميعا أو أشتاتا. It's okay, it's not a problem. Eat together, right? All of you eat together, right? There's no harm. All of you eat together. Alhamdulillah, Bismillah, kul. Right, kulu. Eat together, not a problem. Or أو أشتاتا, or if you want to eat separate, you wish to eat separate, you can eat separate as well. That's not a problem. Another thing, understanding that since the ruling was that you shouldn't go in anyone's house and you shouldn't take their food, right? Now what happened was, another sha'n al-nuzul of this is the weak, the poor, the blind, they were asked to stay back at the time of war. Okay? So one Sahabi, he left his friend back, and he said, you could stay back. This is your house. Just take over. Meaning just take care of this house while I'm gone. When that Sahabi came back from war, he found his friend to be very weak. What happened to you? He said, there was food here, there was food, there was food all over the house. How come you didn't eat? He said, I didn't have your permission. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this ayah that there is no problem. There is no problem. See, in this ayah, أن تأكلوا من بيوتكم أو بيوت آبائكم أو بيوت أمهاتكم أو بيوت إخوانكم أو بيوت أخواتكم أو بيوت أعمامكم أو بيوت عماتكم أو بيوت أخوالكم أو بيوت خالاتكم أو ما ملكتم مفاتحه أو صديقكم. Okay, here's what you have to understand. Subhanallah. Now, for example, this happens back home. It can happen here as well. Let's say you. There is your servant, right? He stays back, right? he stays back. Now, obviously, when you're living in the house together, you give him permission to eat. Like you tell him, here you go, you can have this, and he eats that food. It's not like he just goes inside your fridge and just eats whatever he wants, right? Now you are gone. Okay, you give him the keys, right? If it's okay for you, there isn't any harm for him to just go to the fridge and consume the food. That is, then again, only if the Malik, if you know you have this friend, okay, now just to understand, this friend of yours, he's giving you the key to his house. And you know this, that if you go to the fridge and you grab some, you take some apple, or you eat some apple, or you eat some pomegranate, or you drink some juice or whatever, he won't bother, he won't mind. That's okay, right? You know that if you go to your sister's house and your sister won't bother, she'll say, yeah, it doesn't matter, eat whatever you want. So at that point, you don't have to ask for any permission, right? But understanding if your friend, understanding, subhanAllah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us generous friends, not stingy friends, but this friend of yours, he gets angry, or he'll feel bad and he'll get angry, he'll get upset if you take some, if you take some food. He's only giving you this authority, he's only made you in charge of his house to that extent where you just make sure that everything is running fine and there's nothing wrong, right? Nothing's going on. Just come into the house, just feed my fish or anything like that, right? Then at that time, it's best that you avoid their food, right? If he gets angry. On the other hand, if no one is going to get angry at you, your sister's not going to get angry. You go to your brother's house, your uncle's house, or any your relatives or anything like that. They're completely okay with you if you consume their food. If you go to the fridge, you grab an apple, that's not a problem. They're okay with it, and they're not even in the house. They're far away, right? They're on they went on a trip to the Bahamas or somewhere else. That's okay. Right? ليس عليكم حرج. Not a problem. Okay. أو ما ملكتم مفاتحه. Okay. You have the keys to that house. أو صديقكم or your friends. ليس عليكم جناح أن تأكلوا جميعا أو أشتاتا. Okay. So this is Surah Nur. Now, inshallah, we will move on to Surah Furqan. Allah. Now, the kuffar of Makkah, the mushrikeen of Makkah, they used to say, وَقَالُوا الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا إِفْكٌ افْتَرَاهُ وَأَعَانَهُ عَلَيْهِ قَوْمٌ آخَرُونَ. See, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would tell stories, and he would say different things from the Quran, right? And he would say things. But at the same time, understanding this is all through wahi, right? وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى. So it is all true, coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Jibreel alayhi salam. But they would say, this is all fabricated. إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا إِفْكٌ افْتَرَاهُ وَأَعَانَهُ عَلَيْهِ قَوْمٌ آخَرُونَ. And there's a nation, there's another, a group of people have helped you. They've helped you write this. They've helped you come up with these stories. Right? فَقَدْ جَاءُوا ظُلْمًا وَزُورًا. This is something that they are, these are they're falsely accusing. This is all their news and whatever they're bringing forth. However, how they're accusing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is all false. وَقَالُوا أَسَاطِيرُ الْأَوَّلِينَ. Fables, stories, tales from the past. قالوا أساطير الأولين نكتتبها فهي تملى عليه بكرة وأصيلا. Stories were written in the past, they were told in the past, and this messenger and saying Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is, he tells you this day and night. بكرة وأصيلا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clarifies this. قل أنزله الذي يعلم السر في السماوات والأرض. Ya Rasulullah, you tell them these are not fables, these are not tales from the past. قل أنزله الذي يعلم السر في السماوات والأرض. Tell them, He has revealed it, the one who knows the secrets of whatever's in the skies and the earth. إنه كان غفور رحيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very forgiving and merciful. Then another thing they used to ask, subhanallah, وَقَالُوا مَا لِهَذَا الرَّسُولِ يَأْكُلُ الطَّعَامَ وَيَمْشِي فِي الْأَسْوَاقِ لَوْلَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْهِ مَلَكٌ فَيَكُونَ مَعَهُ نَذِيرًا. He just, what's this prophet? What's his matter? He eats food and he travels. We see him eat food the same food we eat, and he وَيَمْشِي فِي الْأَسْوَاقِ, he goes into the marketplace and he walks about. لَوْلَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْهِ مَلَكٌ فَيَكُونَ مَعَهُ نَذِيرًا. Just send a malak, just send ask an angel who will accompany him. أو يلقى إليه كنز أو تكون له جنة يأكل منها. They asked for all of these things. You know, he should have his own garden, he should have this, he should have his separate food. وقال الظالمون إن تتبعون إلا رجلا مسحورا. الله. Right. You are just following someone who's been, you know, who's just a magician, who's been cast, you know, a spell has been cast on it, right? You're just following that person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends out a warning to them, right? That بَلْ كَذَّبُوا بِالسَّاعَةِ, those who went against, those who falsified, those who didn't believe in يوم القيامة, right? بَلْ كَذَّبُوا بِالسَّاعَةِ وَأَعْتَدْنَا لِمَنْ كَذَّبَ بِالسَّاعَةِ سَعِيرًا. Those who falsify ساعة, those who falsify يوم القيامة, أعتدنا لمن كذب بالساعة سعيرا, for them we have prepared سعير. إذا رأتهم من مكان بعيد سمعوا لها تغيظا وزفيرا. Right? As we find in Surah Mulk, تكاد تميز من الغيظ. Right? When these people, when they will see Jahannam, right? This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. And, you know, to instill fear into their hearts that this will be your situation if you don't fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? When Jahannam is brought, right? وَجِيءَ بِيَوْمَئِذٍ بِجَهَنَّمَ, Jahannam will be brought to them. Subhanallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from this day, on this day. وَإِذَا أُلْقُوا مِنْهَا مَكَانًا ضَيِّقًا مُقَرَّنِينَ دَعَوْا هُنَالِكَ ثُبُورًا. So Jahannam is being brought. Now they're afraid that Jahannam is being brought. Jahannam is furious. It's angry, right? They'll be thrown into the fire of Jahannam in a small area, in a tight area. وَإِذَا أُلْقُوا مِنْهَا مَكَانًا ضَيِّقًا مُقَرَّنِينَ دَعَوْا هُنَالِكَ ثُبُورًا. Now, see, today when a person goes through some trouble, what do you say? Now, this is ayah number 13, okay? Ayah number 13 and 14, what we're talking about. وَإِذَا أُلْقُوا مِنْهَا مَكَانًا ضَيِّقًا مُقَرَّنِينَ دَعَوْا هُنَالِكَ ثُبُورًا. You know, in this world, when you go through some difficulty, you go through some stress, or some, you know, you're going through something in life, you say, oh, you know, I wish I was, you know, I just want to die, I just want to do this, right? Why does one want to die? Because you want to rid yourself of that pain, of that agony, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when these people, when they will be thrown in Jahannam, هُنَالِكَ ثُبُورًا. Allahu Akbar. At that time they will say, Ya thubura, Ya thubura, meaning that we want death. SubhanAllah, you know, this is, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah, you know, just looking at this ayah should, you know, uh, لا تدعوا اليوم ثبورا واحدا. It will be said to them, don't call on for one, don't just say, give us one death, just one death. لا تدعوا اليوم ثبورا واحدا وادعوا ثبورا كثيرا. Allahu Akbar. Don't call for one death, call for death, call for a second death, call for a third death, call for a fourth death, call for a fifth. Keep calling on to death. And no matter what the gist of which is, no matter what you can say, Ya Allah, give us death. You can, you know, meaning that if you call for death once, or you call for death, you know, in this world, you request someone, right? You say something once, right? Someone doesn't listen to you, but you say 10 times, then they might listen to you, right? Say 30 times, right? Meaning that it's based upon your request, right? The amount of times you ask. So, لا تدعوا اليوم ثبورا. Don't just ask for one death. ادعوا ثبورا كثيرا. لا تدعوا اليوم ثبورا واحدا وادعوا ثبورا كثيرا. Meaning that whether you call on to death once, as what people will start to say in Surah Zuhur, Ya Malik liyaqdi anina rabbuk. They'll look at Malik. Malik is the gatekeeper of Jahannam. Ya Malik liyaqdi anina rabbuk. O Malik, tell Allah to give us death. Give us death. We want to die. We don't want to be in Jahannam. We just want to die. Right? We just want to be in Jahannam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and He talks about these people, that, you know, if you don't fix yourselves, and if you keep going against my ways, you know, this can be yours, this can happen to you. And this will happen to those who deny Sa'ah, who deny Yawm al-Qiyamah. Allahu Akbar. Whether now is the time you say, Ya Allah, give me death once, or you say, Ya Allah, give me death 1,000, 1,000,000,000 times, they're both the same. It doesn't matter. Because finish when we finish this juz. We're just one page away. What that is that okay? قل أذلك خير أم جنة الخلد التي وعد المتقون. This is a question for us as well. Is this better that a person stays in Jahannam and he says دعوا هنالك ثبورا, he calls on to death, he says I want death, I want death, I want death, and it will be said to him لا تدعوا اليوم ثبورا واحدا, don't call it once, وَدعوا ثبورا كثيرا, call it multiple times. Is this better أم جنة الخلد التي وعد المتقون? Or is that Jannah better that I promised my faithful slaves? Right? So this is a question for us. Now, well, what's better? Does a person want to live in Jahannam? This will be a situation of those who deny Sa'ah, who deny Yawm al-Qiyamah, who go against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Or Jannat al-Khuld. كانت لهم جزاء ومصيرا. Right? This is, that will be their compensation, and that will be their final abode. لهم فيها ما تشاءون. Now, two God titles here. لهم فيها ما تشاءون خالدين. لهم فيها ما تشاءون. So تشاءون, this is one glad tiding. Allahu Akbar. That whatever you want. This is one blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That whatever you want in Jannah, ما تشاءون, you'll get it. Subhanallah. خالدين. And the second is that you don't get evicted. No one kicks you out. You stay there forever and ever. كان على ربك وعدا مسئولا. Right? This is one promise that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes upon himself that he will fulfill. Okay? Right? And as people will say, ربنا آتنا ما وعدتنا. Right? On Yawm al-Qiyamah, people will say, ربنا آتنا ما وعدتنا. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, so people will say, ربنا آتنا ما وعدتنا, Ya Allah, give us what you have promised us. So Allah ta'ala says, كان على ربك وعدا مسئولا. Right? So this is that wa'da, this is that promise. Right? This is Jannah. That I promised you in this world, that if you do this, you give zakah, you do this, you follow my messenger, you perform righteous deeds, I will give you Jannah. This is that wa'da. Right? وَكَانَ وَعْدُ رَبِّكَ كَانَ عَلَى رَبِّكَ وَعْدًا مَسْئُولًا. Okay? Now, my dear respected brothers and sisters, Allahu Akbar, this is a question, and inshallah we'll end with this. Now, we've finished, not Surah Furqan, but we've finished our 18th juz. Tomorrow we will start with وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ لَا يَرْجُونَ لِقَاءَنَا. This is a question for us, my dear respected brothers and sisters, that we have to ask ourselves, right? This ayah, looking at this ayah, every time a person wishes to do something bad, read this ayah. أَذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ أَمْ جَنَّةُ الْخُلْدِ الَّتِي وُعِدَ الْمُتَّقُونَ. You wish to stop paying your zakat, a person you want to withhold your zakat. أَذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ أَمْ جَنَّةُ الْخُلْدِ الَّتِي وُعِدَ الْمُتَّقُونَ. Always think of these two ayahs, right? The people of Jahannam, لَا تَدْعُوا الْيَوْمَ ثُبُورًا وَاحِدًا وَادْعُوا ثُبُورًا كَثِيرًا. قُلْ أَذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ أَمْ جَنَّةُ الْخُلْدِ الَّتِي وُعِدَ الْمُتَّقُونَ. Think about these two things, right? What life do you want to live? Right? We determine our destiny by what we do, not by who we are. Right? So, what life do we want to live? Right? Is it the life of Jahannam, or is it the life of Allahu Akbar? One punishment amongst the many punishment of Jahannam is that a person, no matter how many times he cries for what's it called? Cries for death. Death will not, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will free everyone of death. That no one, death will be slaughtered, right? It will come in the shape of a ram, and then it will be slaughtered on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Right? Khulud means to live forever and ever. One of the greatest blessings of Jannah is that a person lives forever and ever. You enjoy the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, subhanallah. And you know what it is, subhanAllah, I say this, and I hope everyone can understand this as well. In this world, you eat an apple, you take the first bite is nice. You take the second bite, okay, it's okay. The point is, the taste of that bite, the taste of that apple doesn't get better. In Jannah, subhanAllah, Allah, this is something that it's beyond our comprehension, but let's just try to understand Khalidin. Right? Today, everyone goes by years. This is the year 2020, 2021, that will happen. No years in Jannah. No time in Jannah. You just live there forever and ever. Right? And you're always happy. Right? You're always happy. You're happy and there's no grief. Right? وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. No grief, no sorrow, no tears, just happiness and joy. Right? That's a life. That's a life that we want, right? My dear respected brothers and sisters, if we can act upon this, inshallah, and I hope we can act upon this, let us shed our tears. Let us shed our tears in this world out of the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so we don't have to shed tears in the hereafter. Right? Let's give that a try. Let us shed tears in this world out of the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so we don't have to shed tears in the hereafter. Because those, the mushrikeen, they don't shed tear in this world out of the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they shed tear in the hereafter out of the fear and the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the beautiful mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is such, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا أجمع خوفين على عبدي. Okay? I will never enjoin two fears upon my slave. SubhanAllah. Saying that if my slave fears me in this world by my honor, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if my slave fears me in this world, he won't fear me in the hereafter. SubhanAllah. On the other hand, you have someone who doesn't fear Allah ta'ala in this world, he will fear Allah ta'ala in the hereafter. That is a choice. Now, my dear respected brothers and sisters, that's up to us. That's up to us. Do we want to live our lives? Do we want to fear Allah ta'ala in this world, or do we want to fear Allah ta'ala in the hereafter? Right? That's up to us. That's up to us. Right? That is a choice that we need to make. Right? So, subhanAllah, بَلْ تُؤْثِرُونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا. Coming back to this ayat, right? Why is it that we give preference to this world? Right? Today a lot of people say, and subhanAllah, a lot of people say that, don't talk about death, this and that, the death is a little depressing. Allahu Akbar. As a Muslim, let me tell you this. We shouldn't be afraid of death. We should be afraid what is to come after death. Right? This was the quality of Sahaba radiallahu anhum ajma'in as well. SubhanAllah, we're not afraid of what is to come after death, but we're afraid of death. The complete opposite. And understanding this, Allahu Akbar, just understand this hadith. If you love to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves to meet you. And that person who dislikes who hates to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want to meet that person either. Now, we should, we should have, let us build this quality that we would want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The only barrier, for example, now one thing I'll tell you, let's say a mother stands on one side, and the son, he stands on the other side, or the daughter stands on the other side, and there's a wall in between. The mother wants to get to the son, and the daughter wants to get to the mother, right? But there is this barrier, right? Allahu Akbar. Once that barrier is removed, that the mother or the daughter, they're together. They feel happy, right? Not comparing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala obviously to any insan, right? What I'm saying is that the barrier between you, we say we love Allah ta'ala, we want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that barrier is death that stands between you and Allah. Right? Once that barrier is removed, it's just you and Allah. Right? So who does not want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Right? At the time of Karbala, Shimr said to Husayn radiallahu anhu, yeah, we'll kill all of you. Husayn radiallahu anhu, subhanAllah, he replies by saying, Abil mawti tukhawwifuni. You really scare me of death. Death is just that barrier between me and Allah. Once that barrier is gone, just me and Allah, that's it. I get to meet Allah, right? So subhanAllah, my dear respected brothers and sisters, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the understanding. I hope we understand that this world is completely, it's worthless, right? SubhanAllah, you give your heart to someone who truly cares about you, right? Today we give our hearts to people. It's nice. I'm not saying, be nice with people. Obviously, we need to have akhlaq. But your heart should belong to only one being. And that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's it. Your heart should belong to Allah. Obviously, a person has love for his children and his husband and so on and so forth. But the heart only belongs to one being, and that being is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So, how a mother, or how we're restless when our heart is elsewhere? right? Meaning that obviously it's in your body, but your heart is elsewhere. It calls, it remembers your son, it remembers someone else. You're restless, right? This has to be our situation in this world as well, right? That we need to have this sort of like this. Like I'm not saying live a miserable life, subhanAllah, but I'm just saying, always be vigilant. Always think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Since your heart is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that how can one truly be happy in this world? Right? How can you truly be happy? Because your heart is out of this world. It belongs to Allah, right? You'll only be happy, inshallah, once you get into Jannah, right? And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the understanding of what has been heard and said. And just, if we can focus on just one or two ayahs, not saying memorize the entire Quran. It's best to memorize the entire Quran. But just, there's a couple of ayahs that I've mentioned, about thubur. هنالك, دعوا هنالك ثبورا. This ayah. قل أذلك خير أم جنة الخلد التي وعد المتقون. That ayah. بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى. That ayah. إنه من يتقي ويصبر. That ayah. SubhanAllah, so many ayahs, and just one or two ayahs, they add up to maybe 30 ayahs, 20, 30 ayahs, right? We can memorize some of these ayahs, Allahu Akbar. Our lives will be saved, right? So Jazakallahu khairan for your time. Inshallah, I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll start with our 19th juz and finish our 19th juz. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله.
This session is no longer.